This is the magicwordpodcast.com.
We're now into day number 3, which really is officially day number 3. We had a pretty full day on the first day, even though it really didn't begin until noon, and then we had a full day yesterday, going way until the wee hours of the morning, in fact. Now we're here on Sunday morning, getting ready soon to have the stage contest. And I'm also here with someone that I like to talk with, and oftentimes we'll see each other, sit down and chat for the TAOM, Mr. Gregg Lancaster. Hey there, Greg.
Hey, Scott. How are you?
Fantastic. And I know you live in College Station, which is not so far away, and that's the home of Texas A&M. And so you go to the conventions, kind of centrally located, so you can attend all the conventions at the TAOM. So how many times have you come?
I'm in my 49th year of it being a TAOM member.
Wow.
Next year is my 50th year, which I'm excited about. But I go to 2, 3, 4 conventions a year and have for a very, very long time. So I go everywhere.
What is it about conventions that attract you?
Friendship.
Wow, that's a quick answer.
Yeah, friendship, relationships. Some of my best friends in the world are magicians. That's my network. That's who I talk to. And I'm never happier, Scott, than when I'm at a magic convention. I do not read a newspaper. I do not turn on the television. I have no idea what's going on in the outside world.
You have no social media.
And I do not do social media. I'm a much happier person at magic conventions than anywhere else in the world. That's a fact.
Because that's all we do is talk magic and just have fun. And you're really more of a mentalist, wouldn't you call yourself, as opposed to a sleight of hand artist?
I do a lot of mentalism, and I like mentalism, and it fits my style. Today, that's what I do. I still refer to myself as a magician in general, but I like mentalism, and it works with my Q&A style, work the room, talk to people, interact. And yeah, at this stage of the game, I just turned 62 years old, and my fingers are not as nimble as what they once were, and I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Well, yesterday, Christopher Carter was lecturing, and he talked about a Q&A act. Did you get some tips from that?
Yeah, Christopher Carter was one of my favorites, and he's a fella that I've seen twice before. I think at Mindvention and maybe one other convention.
Magic Live.
At Magic Live and a Mindvention. He doesn't tend to work a lot of conventions.
No, he doesn't.
He's a real-time worker, 3,500 shows on college campuses, and I love the guy. He's got
multiple award winner also from all the colleges that love him.
You're absolutely right. He's got the right presentation, the right feel. He's not hokey. He relates to an audience immediately. I have emailed him twice in the last month or two expecting his book to be released at this convention, but it's not available yet. He said last night that it'll probably be the beginning of the year, but I was coming here to buy that book, and he knows it.
Well, another guy that was outstanding, I think, was Steve Valentine. It's a fella, and I say that because not only, of course, is he outstanding, but he doesn't go to conventions very often either. And I think his lecture is going to be later today, and he performed then in last evening's show. What are your comments about that?
Love Steve Valentine. Even I used to watch him on Crossing Jordan, the television show with Jill Hennessy. We fell in love with Jill Hennessy because she was always on Law and Order and still is. Okay. And so I've known who Steve was for a long time. I met him at Magic Live several years ago. Great guy, funny guy. He's an actor, a good actor, a great magician. And I've visited with him a good bit here at this convention, just one-on-one. He is a wonderfully warm, nice human being. Yeah. And he would be an asset to any convention that I can tell you. If you're looking, and he's in the bar, he's in the hallways, he's available to talk to. And a lot of magicians will run to their room after the show, but that's not the case with Steve Valentine. So he's absolutely a winner. In fact, I'd say so far Steve Valentine and Chris Carter are my two favorite people here at this convention, even though there have been plenty more.
And remember also last night, they were on the same bill last night. It was great because there's the two of them. Instead of just doing a short turn, each of them gave a full turn. And guess who was the MC? It was Michael Finney.
Michael Finney. So that's about as good a show as you're going to get. Yeah. 3 guys that actually work in the real world and know what they're doing. And, it was a great show, no question.
Yeah. Now, I did not stay up much past the children's panel discussion, which they had, and that was featuring, Lanny Kibbe, Dal Sanders, C.J. Johnson, Tom Vorjahan, and Magical Katrina, talking about their various backgrounds and different ways of handling children and family shows and everything. But I went back up to the room and I was working on the podcast, but I know that things went on quite late. Tell me what else went on last night.
Yeah, I think we finally finished Midnight Magic at about 2:30 or 2:45 in the morning, something along those lines. 2:15, I can't recall. We had a lot of performers. Chad Long opened the show. Steve Valentine was on the show. I was on the show. Just a bunch of friends. Ron Wilson. We had a great time. My fine young friend Fabian Marino is the guy who's going to be hosting that show, I think, in the future. He should host it. Basically, what we have is Roger Klaus's Midnight Madness, which we all went to for decades here at the TAOM. And Roger passed, about 10 years or so ago. And Fabian last year hosted the show. He did a fantastic job. We've spent time with Fabian. Him and his dad own a jewelry store, a watch store, third-generation watch store, very high-end watches. I'm a watch guy and a hat guy, as you know. And so we've spent time with Fabian in his store in San Antonio. And he is a great guy. He is a student of magic.
He's got a great lecture.
He's got a great lecture. I gave him a standing ovation last year at the TOM. That was a fantastic lecture. I was shocked at how good he was. But he's a student of Gary Plants. He's a student of these guys that actually know what they're doing. He's very well connected. He's, young guy, probably about 30, I'm guessing. But I'm hoping that he'll host this show every year for us at the TOM.
Well, we have gone through a few other hosts. I know Danny Garcia has done it, Jamie Salinas has done it, and going back to the original idea, it was kind of a Roger Klaus Midnight Madness, in which, as you said, it was Roger and friends, basically.
That's right.
That he would tap out people throughout the day and saying, hey, can you be on the show? And I want you to do that trick. I don't want you to do, like a whole show. You're just going to do like that trick, which could be a 3-minute trick or 60-second trick or whatever, basically.
Right.
And so it continues to this day as being that, and it's not necessarily starting at midnight. In fact, last night it began, at 12:30?
It started at 12:30 and then went to way after 2. There were 2 sessions, the first session and the last session. And Fabian said after the first session, guys, if you're tired and you need to go to the room, go ahead and head out. And for those that want to stay, let's stay. And the bottom line is we had a great time. It's a jam session is what it boils down to. It's informal. And you can stand on the stage or you can stand in front of the stage. You can use sound or not based on what you're going to do. And bottom line is it was what it was, and it was a lot of fun. The people that were there had fun.
Yeah.
I had fun.
Was there something else that happened between the panel discussion and the Midnight Madness, or did they go straight into the Midnight Madness?
They went straight into Midnight Madness is what they did.
Okay. Yeah.
And that was the last event of the evening.
Well, again, as we're sitting at breakfast, we're about to go into the stage contest. There are not a lot of people here because they're probably still sleeping in.
I can guarantee you that is the case. A lot of people are going to be sleeping in after that one.
Those of you who listened to the podcast episode from yesterday, I was talking with Dick Olson, who is the president, and he was saying also about how jam-packed this is on the schedule. And there are a lot of overlapping things and things that start early in the morning, go late until the next morning, and trying to get these things in. And I don't think that people are disappointed by having too many things to do. What are your feeling about it? Should we have too many or less?
No, I come here. I want to spend time with friends. I want to see as much magic as I possibly can. I think this has been an outstanding convention for a very long time. Like I said, I'm in my 49th year being a member here, and I'm not going away anytime soon. That I can guarantee you. And I go to a lot of conventions, but I'll tell you right now, the TAOM on Labor Day, if you're looking for something to do, ladies and gentlemen, on Labor Day, the TAOM is a place to be. I've said it all over the country. It doesn't matter what city we're in. Next year we're going to be in Dallas/Arlington. It will be a SAM/TAOM/FISM qualifier. It'll be a knockout of a convention. If you're looking for something to do, come to Arlington, Texas. Next Labor Day, we're going to have a blast, I can guarantee you. You're going to be there. I'm going to be there. And we're going to have fun, aren't we, Scott?
Absolutely, and that's what it's all about. TAOM is spelled FUM.
Absolutely, yeah.
There we go. So for the Magic Word Podcast, that was Gregg Lancaster, Scotty out.
Good job, Scott.
The next few conversations you're about to hear were recorded during the stage contest. What I did as the master of ceremonies for the stage contest was to have people come up, certain people to talk with, so this way I didn't have to say anything really about the contestants. The problem with trying to MC a contest is you're not supposed to talk about anybody nor to encourage applause nor anything. All you can do is just give their name and their location where their home city is and bring them on. And then afterwards repeat their name for the judges. So That's why I thought, well, the best thing is to provide people while they're sitting there waiting for the next act to prepare is to listen to some conversations from some guests and performers and lecturers and others who happen to be attending the convention. So we had about four or five different people who had stepped forward and sat on the edge of the stage, and we had chatted. So the next few conversations, you will kind of hear some of the things going on in the background, the audience interaction, applause, as well as it sounds like a hall. There's a little bit of an echo perhaps in there, but I was using two microphones. I was using the one for the podcast as well as the one to hold towards the person, so that way that the rest of the audience could hear what they were saying too. So I hope you enjoy these next few as well. So we're getting started. Cindy, just have a seat over here.
Sure.
And my first guest up over here today is someone who is the other half of the team, who is on the cartoon circus, is it?
Yes.
Okay. Cinde Sanders is my guest then right now, and she plays Boopsie the Clown on the TV series, which is international. So tell me a little bit about the TV show and that.
Okay. Well, it's internationally syndicated. It's all over the world. In fact, it's in Asia. It's at like 90 million homes in Asia.
Wow.
But I'm a clown. I'm Boopsie the Clown, and Dal is the ringmaster. And it is we host old-timey cartoons. The producer got the rights to the cartoons, and he wanted something to do with it.
Yeah.
And so he built a show called Cartoon Circus. He built it around the old cartoons. So we do like excerpts between the cartoons to introduce the cartoons and just to make it fun.
And do you have like a peanut gallery, I mean, like for kids and all that?
Yeah, we do. We have a little, few kids, and they're all clapping, and yeah.
So you have a live audience, and what, about 15, 20, 30 kids? Or?
It's more like, 7 or 10. But
now, when you film this, is there a regular television studio? You do it at home, or where do you?
We do it in a studio, but it's just kind of a makeshift studio in Irving, Texas. It's not a big studio, and it's a warehouse.
So then, how do you find the children to be in the peanut gallery? I mean, is it something that you solicit, or saying we're going to be filming, or how do they get?
So we teach the Discover Magic program. We teach kids magic camps, and we taught over 500 kids magic this summer.
Just this summer alone. Wow, yes. How about that?
and we give them the opportunity to come and be some of the kids in the peanut gallery, as you call it.
Yeah.
What
do you call it? I mean, that was
audience.
Something from the audience. That was from Howdy Doody. Boy, am I old. Okay. So you guys laugh because you know who Howdy Doody was then, too. Which was one of the coolest things when I went to David Copperfield's museum and saw all of this stuff. That was amazing. But to see the original Howdy Doody, it's like, oh my gosh, I still got goosebumps thinking that was Howdy Doody. Anyhow, and he's got it, of course. So back to Boopsie the Clown, and Dal is like the ringmaster, right? And
yes.
So it's a circus kind of a.
It is a circus atmosphere, yes.
Right, and so it is a half-hour show, right? Or an hour? About how long?
I think they're about a half hour. Yeah. So we do we like open the show, and then they show a cartoon, and then we do something in the middle, and they show another cartoon, and we do something at the end. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And as far as what you do you kind of provide some slapstick type of clown comedy, or what kind of clown are you?
So we do magic and science tricks, basically. We teach demonstrate some science principles and magic principles. And yeah, I mean, Dal and I work off, I'm kind of like Gracie Allen, I'm just kind of...
So you're a talking clown.
Yes.
Not...
Oh, definitely
okay.
a talking clown, yes.
It'd be hard to shut you up, I think is what Dal was, the words he said.
But I've been a clown for 30 years. I mean, that's not, I'm a professional performer. I'm not only a clown. I do other... I do puppet shows, and I do magic shows and things like that for families and children's audiences.
Mm-hmm. Did you become a clown after you found out that Dal was also wearing that thing for that burger company?
I used to be his agent, and we also have a company called Amazing Attractions, and we book other entertainers too. And I was always the booking agent. I was the one that did all the background work, and I saw that everybody else was having fun, and I wasn't. Mm-hmm. So I asked Dal to help me put together a show, and we started out with Boopsie the Clown 30 years ago, yes.
For 30 years, and been continuing that. Now, is the show available also in the United States so people can watch that? or is on the internet?
It is. It's syndicated on, like if you have a Roku, you can find it on your Roku. There's some episodes on YouTube. It's Cartoon with a K, Cartoon Circus. But if you scroll through your Roku, you can find Cartoon Circus on there.
Because I was thinking it was like Spider Network or something it was on.
It is on Spider Network. I guess it's still on Spider Network. I think it is. SPYDAR is the network.
Okay. And that's something that you can find online even if you don't have a Roku TV, I guess?
That's true.
So.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what about the coming up with the different ideas? I mean, week after week, I think that's got to be pretty difficult. And then the things you're going to be teaching. How do you come up with those ideas, and what kind of research do you and Dal do?
Well, I mean, he was the world's most famous clown for 40 years. Most of you probably know that. And so in those 40 years, he did a lot of school shows, and they were all educational school shows. So he kept, much to my chagrin, because our warehouse is way too packed with things, he's kept everything he's ever had, and it's very organized. He keeps them all in one case. So when we want to come out and do something on science, he'll bring out a science show, and we'll do some things from that. And we can do. He has 40 years worth of educational information that we can share to our audience.
I know some people might have another word for that.
Yeah, I do.
Well, thank you, Cinde, very much. I appreciate you being over here. Cinde Sanders. Now, I want to introduce from Houston our next performer coming up, who is the amazing Anthony Wilkins. So I thought it only appropriate that we then have the other side of the Sanders family.
All Sanders, all the time.
All look the same?
Yes.
Okay. Well, have a seat.
Oh, thanks.
And we'll chat here for a few moments while we get ready for the next act. I want to talk to Dal, not so much about the Cartoon Circus, but about next year's convention. You're going to be the incoming president. You'll be...
I'm going to be sworn at tonight. Sworn in tonight.
Sworn at. That's right. And you'll be then the president. What number will this be, by the way, the TAOM? This must be number what, 80-something? 88? Okay. I'm asking the wrong guy.
I look that old?
Old enough to know better.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it should be. So, but you are going to... What?
I thought you were handing me something.
No, I'm not. I'm going to hand you a line in just a minute, though. Okay. So tell me about the convention next year. How's this going to be different from a regular TAOM?
Well, first of all, it's the 100th anniversary of the Dallas Magic Club.
That you know for sure, but not the TAOM. How about that? 100 years. Okay.
And it's actually a little older than that, but we were incorporated in 1924. Our charter was signed and delivered to us by Harry Houdini, and we still have it. It hasn't been lost to the spirits of time. Mm-hmm. And it's also going to be a TAOM-SAM combined convention, and we'll be hosting the FISM North American Championship of Magic. So you cannot go to FISM in 2025 without coming to Dallas in 2024.
So the path to FISM goes through Dallas next year.
Correct.
And so if you attend, even if you're not going to be competing, at least you might have a chance to see someone who could be the next FISM winner over in Italy.
Absolutely. Sure. And the contest alone would be worth seeing. Mm-hmm. But we're going to top that off and raise the bar a little bit, because our acts are all going to be FISM winners and quality acts, people who've won FISM before. You're going to see the very best of the very best magicians in the world in Dallas.
Wow. Now, for those of you perhaps who may have attended Magic Live, how many people did, by the way, attend Magic Live by applause? I can't see right now. So, okay. There were a few of you, and for those who didn't, then let me just tell you, there were some FISM winners, quite a few FISM winners that were there, and it made the show outstanding. And so that's the kind of quality act, again, you're going to be... And people are still talking about that, and we might be bringing some of those guys in?
Yes.
Well, thanks. Okay.
I'm not at liberty. Mike Miller would beat me if I gave names yet, but yes.
Okay. And Mike Miller, by the way, is the talent chairman, has been for a number of years for the SAM as well as for Abbott's and a few other things. I mean, he's well connected, and so it's going to be outstanding.
We really do have a great team. Not only do we have our Dallas Magic Club team, but Trixie Bond, our own Trixie Bond, is going to be doing special events. You're going to be helping us, as you know, with a lot of publicity and things like that, and marketing. So this is not just a Dallas TAOM. This is a TAOM. And combining with the SAM team that we have with Mark Whitehouse.
Mark's right there. He's past, like you, past national president of the SAM.
And he's actually my partner on this. So, Mark, you ought to stand up and
take a bow there, Mark. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
He's got the shirt.
That's right. He even got the shirt. Well, listen, we're getting ready. I think the next act is ready to go on. So, Dal, thanks very much, and we look forward to that. And people can register, I think, out there.
It's already open. Officially, it's supposed to open tonight, but they gave us the registration room today.
Okay, and so you can go and register. And again, Dal Sanders. Big round of applause for Dal. Our next act comes to us from Durango, Colorado. This is Mitch Harwood, Misto the Magi. Well, next up, I thought it would be kind of interesting, since we were talking with Dal Sanders just a little bit ago about contests, is to talk with someone who has won some contests and also is a president of the local Houston Magic Club then as well. Please welcome my guest, David Rangel. So, David, you had competed in the close-up contests before. Now, many of you recognize David from the other night with his son, Dave and Jake Rangel, opened the show on Friday night. There we go. And you have, I remember entering the contest and won several years ago. What was it that made you want to enter the contest to begin with?
The challenge of it all.
The challenge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Watching a lot of competitions, Jack, you learn you want to tell a good story. So, like, when I would watch a good competition act, I said, man, I want to try that. I want the challenge of that and competing. It's like, it sounds fun.
Now, you just competed, I say just, in close-up. Have you done stage? I mean, you're doing stage with Jake now, but...
No, Jake dragged me into
that. Kicking and screaming, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. In preparation for the contest, though, for close-up, how long did you practice, or as far as putting together the routine?
Probably after like 1 year as a TOM, like, okay, this coming year, next time I'm going to compete. So after like the end of one TOM started, I just started kind of brainstorming ideas.
Yeah.
Because you'd want to be prepared, excuse me, before. No, I wouldn't want to think like I'm going to compete in the convention's a month away. So it really did start like probably about a year.
So you're recommending that obviously you take some time to put together an act because you want to have a routine. It's unlike a regular strolling or close-up at a restaurant or something.
Oh, no, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Like, I would never do what I do for...
Walk around
for real people.
Okay. How does that differ, and what would you do different?
Just how you would tell the story. Like, I think each competition act should be it's like a three-part play. You're introducing yourself, but it needs to have an arc. So it needs to have a beginning, it needs to have a middle, it needs to have an end. And whatever that arc wants to be, I think that arc needs to be there.
Yeah. And in your particular case, then, you'd won once or twice, or how many?
Just one time.
Okay, so I was thinking you had competed yet at
I have other awards in Magic, but just for...
An award-winning magician.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the other things that you had learned from your competition?
It's just the stress of it, you get a lot of benefits from it. So just to being under the gun, being under pressure, what to do if something goes wrong, problem solving. There's nothing but ups from competing. And then if you do happen to get an award, that's nice too, but then you can use that however you want to use it in your marketing.
Well, that was one of my questions of whether that you were looking at the competition as something that you wanted to win or just to compete, and we'll see how I do. I mean, did you go there with obviously you want to win, but I mean, that's why.
Yeah, you start off with modest ideals. Like, I'll just compete just for the fun of it. I mean, of course, I think everybody tells themselves that, but to win is very nice.
It's a nice trophy. It's a very nice trophy, and something certainly.
The trophy is cool. That's one of the reasons. Like, man, that is a really cool trophy. Like, we have a really cool trophy. That's really so I really wanted that.
For those people who have not seen the trophy, explain why this is different from others.
You could kill a man with it. It's heavy. It's like, you can knock somebody over the head and then they're going to get up. It's a nice heavy. It's not some like plastic piece. It's like a really heavy. It looks like a little magic Oscar. So it's really neat.
With
a magician and a top hat, real classic kind of look.
And pulling a rabbit out. Yeah, it is unlike any other trophy of any other organization that has offered prizes as well. Was there a cash prize with that the year that you had? Because I know from year to year they do had different cash prizes. Did anything go with that your year?
No, it was Fort Worth. They were cheap that year.
All right.
I'm just spitting facts. I don't know why you're getting mad.
But have you then been a judge in competition since then?
I did judge last year. You know how TAOM is sometimes. Last year I got a phone call the morning of. I'm like, hey, you're going to judge. I said, okay, great.
Okay.
So I did, yeah.
And so I know that we have judges here then today that are obviously judging the contest acts as we did yesterday for Close-Up. Did you
look for the folders?
Did you? Yeah, look for the folders so you know who they were.
They're so discreet.
What did you learn as a result of being a judge then too? I mean, did you think that by being a judge and you can see the categories and how you're going to be ranked, did you feel as if that you could have perhaps competed better or differently before? Had you known in advance?
I just focused as just being a judge, you know, and then like you see the hard work. But it's tough being a judge because like these guys work really hard, and whether it's on this upper echelon, you can see it. A lot of times you see, man, they work really hard for this. So it's tough. It's a lot of responsibility, and you want to do the right thing, and But most of the time, like there was a clear winner. But sometimes you get to the point where like this guy was but this person is so close,
very difficult.
And then you have like a little round robin where you kind of hash it out.
Yeah, and ultimately, would you hire this person, for your party or your show?
Yeah, that's a heavy weight because you're like one of these persons is going to walk away winner, one of these persons is going to be.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. So I would encourage, as you do, it sounds like, encourage other people then to enter the contest, and particularly next year that it's going to be a tough competition.
Oh man, I would totally do it. It's a lot of fun. I mean, and there's only benefits for it if you're going there with a positive attitude and just and you get to watch a lot of competition. Yeah, absolutely, I would recommend it.
Well, great. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. David Rangel. Please welcome the magical Katrina. I thought it'd be kind of interesting since we were just talking about, or that Gregg had mentioned Penn and Teller, and you've been on Penn and Teller. What was that experience like?
It was amazing, and everyone was very friendly, and now I can double my rates. I recommend it.
And I know there have been other women who have been on Penn and Teller, certainly. Were they, when they came to you, did you go to them, or did they come to you, or how did you actually come about getting the...
You mean Penn and Teller, not the women? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I actually auditioned for it at a venue just like this, at the SAM Magic Convention in Vegas. They had the producers, Lincoln and Andrew, watch kind of like a sort of contest, and then they talked to everyone after and gave them notes whether they wanted you on the show or not. So it was a really cool opportunity. But they wanted me on the show. I actually did Triumph, which is not fooling at all. It was Slop Shuffle Triumph, for you magicians that know that lingo. And
you're going to be teaching that later today?
No, I'm not going to teach Triumph later today. No. But I did that, and they said, we think you're really funny, but that's not very fooling. Can you do something that isn't cards? Because they want people to do things that aren't cards most of the time on the show. And so then I did the trick that I will be teaching later in my lecture called selection. And it did not fool Teller, it fooled Penn, though. So I like to tell people I fooled half of Penn and Teller. Kind of like how Piff the Magic Dragon is the loser of America's Got Talent.
But still appears from time to time.
But still appears. It's a great tagline. So if you want to see what fooled half of Penn and Teller, come to my lecture. I'm also going to be talking about marketing and business and just how I do magic good. It's early.
Okay. And you were also then filling in for the Illusionists, was it? Or the Champions of Magic? It was Champions of Magic, I think. Is that right? Or
I toured with Champions of Magic in, I think, 2021 during COVID times. And we went all over Mexico, and I was the close-up artist. It was pretty cool.
Wow. And who were you replacing? Do you remember who was there before?
Kayla Drescher. She had I think an immune problem because it was during before the vaccine.
Well, what was that like as far as the audiences? I mean, I didn't think people could get out, but in Mexico they could come to the theaters?
Yeah, the theater was really, really responsible about everything. And I'm trying to think, maybe the vaccine did exist. I should go look at my phone and search Mexico and see when I was there. But they had this white powder that you'd step in when you went into the theater that was supposed to clean your shoes, and they had a spray thing where they would spray you in a disinfectant mist, and every time I entered the theater. So if I ever got coffee, I had to leave for 30 seconds and come back, and they'd do the whole thing all over again. It was very interesting.
They didn't do that for the people who were in the theater, but just
they did.
Everyone
who entered the theater. It was a big theater. It was probably in each city where the musicals go through, the big Broadway musicals. It was that size of a theater in Mexico.
Like in Mexico City?
Yeah, it was Teatro One in Mexico City. Mm-hmm.
And so how long was the tour, since it was during COVID?
It was 2 weeks.
Okay. And did you stop after that? I mean, your portion of it, and then someone else replaced you, or did you continue on with them for a while?
I didn't keep doing it. I think they didn't do it for a while, and then they did one in America, and they had Holly England, who's amazing.
Yeah, she was with them for quite some time. I think she got her own show. Well, she's with Late Night Magic, I think, at the Orleans, I believe, in fact, where they were right now. Right.
Yeah, Late Night Magic's great. If you're in Vegas, you should go. Bizarro and Shocker and Holly England and a bunch of other amazing people are in it.
Yeah. Now, the kind of magic that you had done earlier in your career was doing princess parties. And is that a big thing in California, or is it across the country? I'm not...
I think it's everywhere. Raise your hand if a child in your life had annoyed you with Frozen in the past, or a musical song from a Disney movie.
Yeah. Okay, quite a few.
A few people.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have children in your life.
Well, explain what a princess party is then.
All of the little girls and boys that love Frozen or Encanto or any of those Disney movies. Throw birthday parties where the character comes and acts like they're the character. And I would do magic. I would do Out of This World, but with princesses and frogs. And the little girls would have to pick which one was a prince and a frog, which is pretty cute. So I'd take magic tricks and I'd make them princess themed. And I would be, Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast, or not the Beast part. But yeah, and so that's how I started.
But you dressed as that, right? And you had these costumes that were provided by your agent, or how?
When I was 17, I worked for a company called Carrie's Magic Parties that gave me 10 different outfits that were 2 sizes too big. They gave me a dove bag, a change bag, and a dove pan, and hippity hop rabbits, and the thing where peanut butter becomes jelly. They didn't teach me at all the psychology of performing for kids. They gave me $40 an hour, and they said, go. And those shows were just terrible, those poor children. But that's how I learned. Mm-hmm. And then I eventually got my own princess costumes and started getting better at the different crafts I was doing, face painting and magic. And then I sold the princess costumes all together, and now I just do magic as myself, which I think is more inspiring, just seeing someone that's like them being able to do magic instead of a fictional character, I think is really inspiring to little girls and little boys.
And so what type of shows do you do now? Are they mainly birthday parties and family shows, or are you doing a lot of corporate, or exactly?
I do a lot of corporate, but I try to get into that corporate family market. I've done family shows for Robin Hood and YouTube and Amazon and Facebook, but I'll still do children's birthday parties, and I'll do corporate or weddings. Mm-hmm. I do everything because they're never booked at the same time. So you can do a wedding and then a Timmy's 4th birthday party. They're going to be at different times.
Yeah. Well, and so what time is your lecture a little bit later today? 2 o'clock, I think? No, it's 10:30.
I just realized I left my watch in the hotel room.
In about 28 minutes, actually.
Yeah, come 28 minutes to the room. Sorry, acts in the back.
Yes. Well, that's okay, because we're getting ready to introduce the final act for the contest here. This magical Katrina. Big hand for Katrina. Thank you. All right, so we will now have our final act, number 5. We had one had to drop out. So from North Richland Hills, Texas, please welcome Michael Dimsel. We just completed the stage contest, as you heard, and one of the people who, before they left the room, I thought I would pull over to the side because he's going to be lecturing later today, and that's our FISM winner, Erik Tait. Hey, Erik.
Hey, Scott. How you doing?
Fantastic. Good to always see you, and we've run into each other to several conventions, I think, throughout this year.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we do now is we run around with podcasts with strangers, we talk to people, and then we wander away.
That's right, and go on to the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. And so this convention, is this the first time you've been to TAOM?
I've never been to TAOM before, but I'm having a great time. You know, Houston's a great city. The Texas Association of Magicians has treated me really well, and there's a very strong tradition of magic here in Texas. I know this convention has always had great turnout year after year. I actually lectured last night. I'll be performing in the close-up gala today, and lecture went really well. Had a lot of really positive responses from it, and then looking forward to putting my suit on and dealing some cards with some people today.
Was that a late night lecture?
Yeah. I think I started at 10:30 and ended at midnight.
Okay, so that was on right after the panel discussion, I guess they had.
Yeah, right? I think so. We a few acts unfortunately weren't able to make it for a wide variety of reasons, and so they sort of moved the schedule around, and so I ended up because I was supposed to lecture today.
I know it's what it says on the schedule, and darn, I was looking forward to that because last night I was putting yesterday's podcast together, so I missed it. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll give you a private lecture later. I'll teach you how to shuffle cards.
Thank you. I could use that.
Yeah.
And I heard there's a new thing called a two lift. You can lift two cards at a time.
The Gemini lift. I think they're calling it.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
And there was another move. Speaking of moves that you had, which was the Ramlo. No.
Oh, the Ramlo bottom placement.
Ramlo.
Yeah, I was. So I have intentionally stupid names for moves. So I have this move called
Southwest,
the Southwest Control, which I invented on a Southwest Airlines flight. Then there's the Spanish train change that I invented on a train in Spain, and then there's a move that I use to get a card from the middle to the bottom, and I'm convinced that I didn't invent it, that somebody else did, but I cannot find it in a book or a DVD, and it feels like something Marlowe would do. So I just called it the Ramlo bottom placement.
Because it's just an anagram. I mean, obviously, old Ram has been taken. Used, and so.
Well, you have to credit appropriately, and so
appropriately. Yeah. Exactly. And speaking of podcasts, that you're still doing with Penguin,
yes,
and so that's regular, daily, monthly.
We're weekly. The episode goes up at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday. We're actually approaching our season 4 finale, so I'm about to hit my 5th season. As of this week, as we were talking right now, conversation with Tony Hassini, the founder of the IMS, has gone up. That's a pretty interesting content, if I do say so myself. But then very upcoming. Actually, this is an exclusive for you, Scott.
Okay.
Our season finale will be a conversation with Michael Lamar.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah. So we talk about him developing the Easy to Master Miracles series, his competing at FISM. It's really interesting. I think we got to go. I think they're kicking us out.
Well, I'm talking about Tony Hassini, that he also has spoken to me about coming in and talking on the podcast sometime, but I haven't had a chance actually to sit down and talk with him, but I know he can certainly talk. It's kind of like George Burns and Gracie Allen. It's Gracie, how's your mom? And then he takes off, because he is really fascinating from the standpoint that he also had created the ad campaign, I guess, for Burger King and all this. And so
I have been talking to the Wilson estate, and I have seen documentation that actually Mark Wilson was the one who created that character.
Burger King.
Mark Wilson worked with the Burger King back when it was the Fat King, and then the advertising company that Burger King worked with wanted to change it up and was working with Mark Wilson already on a bunch of magic tricks, and so Mark Wilson helped to create the slimmed-down character that would become the magical Burger King. Tony did work on the campaign, but he worked out on the East Coast, whereas Mark Wilson was working with the actual brains behind the whole Burger King thing. The national campaign out on the West Coast. And actually, I had a really nice conversation with his son, Gregg Wilson, who's got all kinds of amazing documentation, photos, costumes, all kinds of stuff that we should check out. I'm really hoping to get Gregg on the podcast soon to talk more about his dad's legacy with not only the Burger King campaign, but everything else, and the stuff that Gregg has done.
Yeah, well, he is a fascinating conversationalist.
Yes.
I cornered him at, I think it was the Phoenix IBM convention a few years ago. Late at night, we had a few glasses of scotch and loosened his tongue a little bit. Talked pretty well about a bunch of really cool stuff. So I'm glad you're enjoying this convention. I'm glad that just somebody had walked by and said how much they enjoyed your lecture then last night as well. So,
yeah.
I'm glad that you did well and you're having a great time. So you think you might come back another time?
Oh, of course I'll come back to TAOM. I'd love it here.
Yeah, good. So with the Magic Word Podcast, that was Erik Tait, FISM winner, Scotty out. I always like to talk with registrants at conventions who are attending for their first time, and I get double pleasure if it's their first convention of any kind of a magic convention. And here's someone who's been a magician, I assume, for a long time, but at the first convention. Here he is, Robert Vallin. Hey, Robert.
Hi.
So tell me about this convention. Have you been a magician, first of all, for a while?
No, it's been about 8 years. Mm-hmm. What happened is I teach math for a living. And I took a course about 11 years ago on mathematical card tricks, so I could bring that into the classroom.
Of course.
And after doing that for a while, I thought, well, the math ones are nice, but I want to find quote-unquote real magic.
Right.
And so I started studying sleights and things like that, and found a group nearby, the Cajun Conjurers over in Lake Charles, is my local IBM ring. And then once the TAOM was going to be in Houston, which is close enough to Beaumont, I thought, well, let me give it a try.
Yeah. And so you had just heard about this but hadn't, again, attended any other conventions.
No.
What prevented you from attending earlier TAOM conventions?
Mostly the distance plus expense.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what I'd get out of it since I'm a hobbyist and not a professional. But this being so close by, I thought, let's just give it a shot and see.
And so the obvious question is, you wonder what you were going to get out of it, and now we're into like the third day here, so has it been worth your time and trouble? And
in a lot of ways, yeah. I've met some really great people. This is the friendliest kind of thing I've ever been to. You know, I've been to professional meetings before, and this is definitely the kind where you sit down and somebody on your right or left immediately starts talking to you, and that's really nice for a newcomer.
Yeah.
Being in the middle of nowhere, Texas, it was nice to be able to go to the dealer's room and actually handle stuff before buying it. That was really nice to be able to talk to people. I don't know that many people in magic. So to actually put names and faces together and make friends, you know, it's been a big bonus.
Right. And then some of the lectures that we've had, I guess you've been learning from the lecturers as well?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are learning more stuff. But yeah, I'm definitely learning from them.
Well, they have different variety of performers in which they're talking about whether it's business or children's entertainment or mentalism or sleight of hand or whatever. So
yeah, and one thing for sure, you know, at my age, I'm never going to be a busker, right? My career is set. But listening to Doug Kahn was really interesting because it's an aspect of life I'm never going to know. And it's really cool to find out about it.
Yeah. It's interesting, to learn about other kinds of different aspects, I guess, if you will. You know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you know, being a hobbyist, there's so much I don't know, and it's very neat to learn.
Yeah. Well, Robert, I'm glad you're enjoying this convention, so you'll come to another one, huh?
When it's in Houston, yes. If it's far, I'm not sure.
Well, you weren't too far from New Orleans. We just had the Society of American Magicians convention over
That's
there.
true. That's true, but 2 in a row seemed like a lot.
Well, this is my 10th this year, so I get around to a few. Anyhow, thanks very much. It's a pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you.
So, the Magic Word Podcast. That's Robert Vallin, Scotty out. I have been talking with several other performers throughout the last couple of days, and I'd like to bring you listeners some real good content from real good performers and lecturers, and I have one who is going to be doing both. He's lecturing today, was performing, right?
Lecturing tonight.
And star of stage and screen, here he is, Steve Valentine. Hey, Steve.
Hello. Hang on a minute. It's been 3 o'clock in the morning yesterday. We were doing magic and Midnight Madness.
As I understand, you closed Midnight Madness like at 2:30 this morning?
Yes, it was pretty nuts. So I just got up, 11 o'clock? I just had breakfast. It's that kind of a convention.
Actually, it is. It is 11 o'clock, yeah.
Yeah, and I missed the competition. But other than that, it's been great, you know.
So I was going to say, what has your experience been like here at the TAOM?
Lovely. Everyone's warm and friendly, and, you know, I haven't really left the hotel. I haven't seen much of of Houston at all.
Right.
You leave and you just kind of walk in the oven, and then you go, yeah, not today, Satan. Then you turn around and walk back inside the hotel. It's been lovely meeting so many people from here and from all the different Texas Magic associations, and then bringing in. There's a great idea when we do the stage shows to bring in people from the public as well, to mix, so the audience is a mix of magicians and lay people, because you really want to have that, where you want to show magicians your act and you want to present it properly. You want to really have them see how you work for people, for real people.
Real people. And you say, I want to have a real audience. We did that many, many years ago. I want to say it was Walter Blaney's idea. He always said, let's keep the first 3 to 6 rows for the public only. Yeah. So this way you can get their reactions, because that will create a wave behind you. Because if they're magicians sitting in the front few rows with their arms crossed, like, oh, I've seen this.
Arms crossed, legs crossed, eyes rolling,
There's no energy for the performer to build on.
Yeah, but last night we had a lot of energy from the crowd, and it was a really fun show. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
was great. Now, you don't perform at conventions very often. Is this the first one you've done this year, or?
I don't do conventions because normally, because my main job is as an actor, I can never commit to when they want to advertise and say, right, Steve's going to be at the convention. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, if a job comes up, I have to take it.
Yeah.
And because the nature of the business is that you'll sometimes find out a couple of weeks before if you have a gig.
Right.
So it hasn't been possible, but because of the strike, I've been able to kind of catch up on my conventions. So this has been a lot of fun. I've got Blackpool maybe next year. We're talking about maybe doing Blackpool next year. And
you say maybe because, again, it's based upon whether the strike is over or not.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the conversation I'm having with them right now. It's like, to be aware of that. And Magic Live was always great when Stan would book me on Magic Live because he doesn't advertise who's coming.
Right.
So if it changes last minute, nobody knows. No one gets disappointed.
I don't remember. You weren't there this year, though.
I wasn't. I couldn't make it this year.
Oh, man, it was a good convention. It had a lot of FISM winners and everything there. Stan did a great job, as usual.
Yeah, this is what I heard. I heard it was incredible.
I didn't realize you were so tall. I mean, when we've talked before, we're usually seated.
We're usually seated.
What are you, 6'4"?
I'm 6'5".
5, okay.
If I stand up straight.
Oh,
what are you?
I'm 5'10".
5'10".
Yeah.
Yeah. You look 6 foot, though.
Well, I'm on high
Maybe
heels.
Maybe it's because I'm stooping now. That's what it is. I'm getting older and I'm shrinking.
Well, when you're doing close-up magic and you're kind of bending over all the time, and showing somebody.
That thing, right? When we have a tendency to perform like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and it's always kind of bent over. When I was doing a tour recently, and now I do it all the time. If I'm doing close-up on stage with a camera and I've got somebody there, I'll use bar stools, the tall bar stools, and a tall table, so that people are almost at eye level.
Eye level, yeah.
Because and it's so much better for the techniques that you're going to use, and for everybody can look at everyone in the same plane.
It's great to be at eye level. That's the same thing like when you're working with children, to kind of get down your knee and get to talk with them, so that way you don't seem like such a giant. I mean, not just you, but an adult in general.
Normally, an adult is me. I mean, they just look up and up and up and up and up. And
right.
Yeah.
Now, you were saying that possibly you may soon be again doing your one-man show at an upcoming thing. I remember that Guy Hollingworth had his show. I forgot
it was based on Erdnase, right?
It was based on Erdnase. Yeah. Now, yours is completely different from his. So
yes, mine's based on S.E. Andrews. Mine is based on...
You're killing me.
I have a show called Life and Other Deceptions, which is about my career in L.A., kind of arriving in Los Angeles and trying to be a magician and an actor at the same time, and then realizing that it wasn't going to work, and some of the kind of choices that I had to make along the way. And so I've kind of fused the magic and the acting into kind of... It's a magic show, but it's also a lot of narrative and drama and pathos and true life stories. And really it's about never denying a part of yourself because you think other people might not appreciate it. You should always be completely 100% yourself.
Did you write this yourself then?
I did. It was the first one-man show I'd ever written, which was a trial by fire, because the hardest part is how do you write a one-man show without it being... There's a saying that a one-man show is the last refuge of the narcissistic actor, right? Because it's me, and then I did this, and then I did that.
Yeah.
And you just have to... and what I ended up discovering was you have to pose those questions to the audience. Have you ever felt this way? Have you ever seen this? Has anyone ever treated you this way? And then you see people nodding in the crowd. So even though my story is a Hollywood story, what I discovered was that people related to it. It's a universal story. Yeah, we all go for our dreams. We're often told don't do that because there's a chance you'll fail, get a real job or whatever it is you want to do. And we let other people kind of nudge us into these other paths that we don't want to be on. But the universe will always try to get you back on the path that you're supposed to be on.
Listen.
If you'll listen, which is what the story is also about.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
For those people who might be interested in doing a one-man show, that's why I wanted to ask you about that, that you had written that, but I'm assuming that you had a gaggle of people who were helping you as far as directing and producing.
Chris Philpott, because he was the one who inspired me to write it in the first place, and he wrote a treatment.
He is a scriptwriter. That's his job.
He's amazing, and he wrote a treatment for which inspired me. He always says he writes stuff for me, and then I go and do something else, but because it inspires me. And so there were a lot of his ideas that were in the show. There was the original show. Chip Lowell came in and directed it because I'd never done more than a 20-minute stage act. So this was a 2.5-hour one-man show. So it was I just jumped in with feet first and we pulled it off. Thank God.
Yeah, was that part of the Fringe Festival in L.A. or?
No, I did it at a theater. Like I said, the original version, I rented a theater. We did it, and then I did a 90-minute version at another venue, and then at the Castle, I made it 42 minutes, which was a lesson in editing. And the new version is back to 90 minutes. That's what I like to keep it at 90.
Wow.
If I do it at Blackpool, it'll have to be 60, which I'm not entirely sure how that's going to happen, but I'd figure it out.
You got time between now and February.
Yeah, right. But you know, magicians will leave us a little week before.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, damn it! Now I didn't think I was going to have to do this. But it's I hope Blackpool comes along. I hope we're able to figure that out because I've heard amazing things about it as a convention.
Yep, it's a lot of fun. Okay, well, Steve, thanks very much. Appreciate your time.
My pleasure. It was great chatting.
So over the Magic Word Podcast, that was Steve Valentine, Scotty out. Well, this evening show is going to be the capper of it all. This is somebody that I've been looking forward to having at the TAOM for a while. It's always good to have an illusion show to close any big event, whether it's a corporate event or certainly magic conventions or Las Vegas shows or whatever. And I've got a fellow here who has done all of that and more, and particularly works with the, not Wounded Warriors, but works with the... What is it? The veterans, I guess?
Armed Forces.
That's what I'm trying. Yeah, Armed Forces Entertainment, and who is going to be our entertainer this evening and closing the show, Mr. Rob Lake. Hey, Rob.
Hey, so good to see you again. Thanks for having me down here. Thanks for bringing me to this convention.
Sure. I'm so happy that we're having you here. And we kind of get 2 for 1 because another guy's going to be in the audience kind of critiquing. It's another well-known illusionist.
Notes to me.
Someone who you may know then as a well-known illusionist who, again, worked in Las Vegas and, of course, is like the King of Branson, King of Magic, or Prince of Magic. I says what it is, actually. Here he is, Kirby VanBurch. Hey, Kirby.
Thank you, Scott. Nice to see you.
Good having you here then, too. I'm glad that you came just to see Rob because Rob's been a long-time friend of yours, right?
A long-time friend. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah. So this evening, now did you bring some illusions and perform on the way down, or are you just coming down for this, or how did... What else have you been doing?
So all summer I've been performing at the Atlantis in the Bahamas. In fact, I had 2 shows last night, and I left the theater about 2 a.m. and then got to left for the airport at 5 a.m. Got here this afternoon, set up the show, and then in the morning I fly back to the Bahamas first thing at 7 a.m. I think is my flight departure time. So
what a rough life.
Hey, no, but I asked for it. I couldn't miss this for the world. I'm so excited to be here. So the illusions here we had were already here. We kept them behind the U.S. so I could bring them here for this event in the ballroom here tonight.
And that's going to be pretty much of a full show. I know Michael Finney's going to be opening. He's going to do about 20 minutes, I guess, and then you're going to be doing about an hour. Or then
yeah, about so. It's very interactive, so that can fluctuate a little bit. And what an honor to have Michael Finney. He is so funny. When they told me he would be sharing the stage, I said, I'm sharing the stage with him. It's not the other way around. He's a legend, and he's hilarious. And every time I see him, I hurt from laughing. So I'm glad to have him here tonight.
Well, I know when we talked before, we were planning on just having you just as a solo act, but we had Michael Finney coming in too. We thought we really want to have him someplace. So I asked you, and you graciously said yes. But as you said, you're glad to have him,
I will be watching him I'm going to try to sneak out and watch him from the front because he's so seasoned. He's such a pro, and he really is one of the funniest guys in the business. I love him, and I think Kirby and I we're talking about that too.
Now, as far as the show you're doing in the Bahamas, that's which hotel and casino?
That's at the Atlantis Resort. We've been there all summer.
All summer. Yeah. Is this the first year you've been there, or you've been?
No, this is my 4th year. I was there. The first time I went was 2015, and it was an 8-week gig that kept extending for 3.5 years. And took time off in the pandemic, delayed, so it was the first time back in 5 years. But we were glad to be back. It felt like being back at home.
Now, you recently did an Armed Forces show because, as I recall, I think you'd sent me a link about one of the shows you had
That's
done.
right. So during the pandemic, before the pandemic, we'd toured and done shows for Armed Forces Entertainment all around the world. I'd been entertaining the troops for about 15 years or more. And then I... Okay, and so I entertained the troops all around the world and created magic and performed tours from every year. And then the pandemic, we couldn't do it, so we created TV specials for Armed Forces Network. And we did that during the pandemic, and it was such a big hit. It was a record-breaking streaming and viewership. So they asked us to create another one, and that just released a couple weeks ago as our newest TV special for Armed Forces just released.
I'm curious how this is doing, because back then, of course, the only way you could see anything is to stream it, basically. But now people can get out of the house. How have the numbers been as far as watching that? I can't believe that they'd be as good as what they were before, but I assume they're so good.
We're on the same path as our very first one, which was a major
fantastic.
record.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're still on the same path.
And whenever that you're traveling and doing the Armed Forces shows, do you do the same show at different bases? Okay.
We do a lot of bases, which it
around
can vary.
the world, or
all around the world. In fact, Armed Forces Entertainment takes magic and entertainment, a little bit of home, to troops and their families in really remote areas around the world. So places that they don't even get any type of entertainment. So we bring home magic and a great experience where the troops and their families are living.
Right.
Very often it's an isolated remote area.
Now, I know that you're from Oklahoma, and so you reside there, born there. And have you ever attended the TAOM whenever you were younger?
I've only been to one, and it was in Lubbock, and I had a great time. That was the only magic convention I've ever been to.
That was a pretty good one, actually.
It was. Kevin James was the headliner there, and
right.
Bruce Block was his guest act, and it was just good friends of mine. And I drove there. It was the first time I went to a magic convention, and I had a great time.
How can you not? I mean, the TAOM is a lot of fun then as well.
It's a blast, and it's there's a lot of people Oklahoma is not far from Texas, and
right.
it's it's really a regional convention. So there's a lot of friends.
We always say that's the seventh flag over Texas.
It could be. At least remember we're over it. Remember that part.
Well, I lived in Tulsa for a number of years, so I can appreciate that.
Yes, of course.
It's a wonderful state. And Kirby, you have not been at the TAOM. You come actually see your friend Rob over here. So
that's right.
Have you attended the TAOM in the past?
I have. The last one I was at was in San Antonio, but the first one I went to was in Houston, Texas.
Yeah. And, of course, you come in here this evening. You really haven't had a chance. Of course, the dealers have just shut down and everything. And pretty much most everything is going to be done this evening after the show. We're going to be having a president's party, in which I guess they've told you how that's going to work. And we're going to clear this, I guess, and have some cake. I don't know about ice cream. We're going to have some presidential cake. And then tomorrow morning will be the fourth and final day. But really, it's going to be abbreviated from the standpoint the dealers are closed. But Brent, Braun, and Andy are going to be giving a lecture.
Oh, great. They're great,
yeah.
I'm sad I'm going to miss that.
And you said your flight is like
I board at 6 o'clock.
Okay, so as soon as your show's over,
I'm on the way to the airport.
You're on your way out. I was going to say, that's why I'm glad I'm catching you now. So are you excited about showing some stuff that you haven't done in a while here, or are these things just for standard?
So this is obviously, we perform in theaters and arenas where we bring in mini semi-trucks, and we have, lots of space. Sure. This is a ballroom. There's chandeliers that hang down, I think these chandeliers hang down 8 feet, so it's limits on what we can do here, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, so it just means it's different than my summer show. It's different than our arena tours. So these are what we kind of call the corporate ones, which are the more fun for me. It's more interactive, and we really crammed every piece of magic we could on this ballroom stage. We took over every space backstage to put the illusions to give us the biggest show we could in this room. And we're really excited for it. It's a custom show because when we tour and travel, it's very routine, it's very repetitive. But here, this is a custom, unique show we created just for TAOM tonight.
Well, that's great, just for us.
Of course.
Because it is kind of small from the standpoint there are only a couple hundred seats here, and you're used to like 200,000 seats, right. Thousands of seats.
Exactly,
that you normally do. So I'm glad that you have taken this, and I want to thank you guys on behalf of the TAOM for you and your crew. And speaking of your crew, they've been fantastic. You sent them in advance because they'd set up not only the curtains and everything and the lighting. We had great help with Kent Dickensheets as well as then your crew, Joe, and everybody else who's been helping us with the audio over there, and has been outstanding. I think we've had some of the best audio conditions of any TAOM, because typically, again, someone brings in their own audio system thinking that they know what they're doing, and they don't, like a professional like you guys do.
Sure. Well, I'm glad it worked out. Glad we can help.
Yeah, you really have. It's been great. Kirby, any words over there or that what you're going to be working on? What's We're going to be doing this thing in Galveston. Is that something we can talk about yet?
Yeah,
possibly?
No, I'm working on it. I'm working on getting a place in Galveston and doing the show.
So maybe seeing Kirby and friends at be coming to some place in Galveston soon.
I hope so soon.
Yeah. I hope so too. I really do. And you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So for the Magic Word Podcast, that was Rob Lake and Kirby VanBurch. Scotty out. We just finished the evening show here, and it was a tremendous way to close this convention, in which we had Michael Finney doing about a 20, 30-minute act, and then we had another hour with Rob Lake doing some amazing illusions. And it was a good way to kind of round out this convention here this evening. And we're getting ready for the President's Party here shortly, but I thought I would have a chance to talk with Mike Miller, who is the entertainment director, or I guess talent chairman.
Producer, whatever.
Producer for the SAM conventions, as well as Abbott's, and also the Super Sunday that you put together and everything. Here he is, Mike Miller. Hey, Mike.
China Tour. Yeah, hi. How are you?
Let's kind of stand over here so it's not quite as noisy. And so you've been busy here for this convention, actually starting to book for next year, because we're going to be having the combined convention.
And he asked me to produce the shows for the North American Championship, TAOM, and SAM. So I'm working on some good acts. It's going to be totally different than what I think TAM's used to. I don't know, but we'll see. I've been talking with some FISM winning acts and things like that.
Things are going to be different next year because it'll be a lot of competition.
Yes.
And so, whereas now we limit that, we have an hour or so that's going to be for close-up competition, and then we have another couple hours for but we don't have but half dozen or so competitors.
Yeah.
And so next year there'll be several, I'm anticipating. So there'll be a day or two of competition like regular FISM.
Yeah, probably. I think it's hopefully. Let's put it that way. Hopefully,
because there'll be people from all over North America coming in, because this is the pathway to get to FISM.
You have Canada, United States. I think just Mexico, yeah. And there's some great magicians in Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
No one's seen.
Yeah.
So,
have you booked some people then also from the from Mexico in the past, like for some of your tours?
I've had a few from Mexico, from Spain. I've had a couple from Puerto Rico. I've done a lot from Spain.
Yeah,
because they've got probably some of the best close-up magicians in the world. Spain.
Yeah, they do.
Yes.
Particularly card guys. That are really tremendous.
And there's some great illusionists, too. Yunki from Spain. He's fantastic. He's a big illusion. I had him in the China Tour years ago.
Now, how do you get to meet these people?
I just go to conventions, and if I see an act I liked, I will ask for information.
Yeah.
And like I said, they don't know who I am, but eventually I'll contact them and see if we can work it out and bring them to either China, SAM, Abbott's, or hopefully here next year.
Hopefully so. And I know that you have, a big pool of magicians to pull from, I guess. And they probably want to come and work these conventions also.
Yeah, and I want to bring FISM winners from around the world to here so North America can see how they think outside of the United States and Canada and Mexico. Because over in like Korea, Japan, China, and all of Europe, they think totally different than when we think here about magic.
They really do, and I know that Mark D'Souza and some others have been talking about, and also Erik Tait, trying to get people FISM ready, because FISM is not an American championship.
And Mark's going to put a lot into it, and he's going to try to do what he can to let people think outside the box.
As part of the problem, I think, is some people just don't know about what FISM is like. And you need to actually attend a FISM before you try to compete, because once you do, it's like, holy cow, it's a whole different level. I mean, this is like the minor leagues to the major leagues.
And the only way you're going to get there is through TAOM SAM next year.
And they need to register now.
Yeah,
very good.
I would register now. Yes.
There you go. Mike, thanks very much. Always good luck.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, for the Magic Word Podcast, that was Mike Miller. Scotty out. Another person who was, actually we just finished, as I said, the evening show, but someone who was in the first show on the Friday night that we had as the kickoff, had closed the show, was Harry Maurer, and I got him with me there right now. Hey, Harry.
Hey, how's it going, Scott?
Fantastic. Did you have a good time this year?
You know something? I had a ball. It's been I very rarely have done conventions. I think I've done 4 in my career, and I just had a blast. It was so good to come here and actually perform, and people got to know me and they understand what I do, because you know something, people in this area don't really know what I do unless they come out to my shows.
Right.
So I really enjoy doing it for magicians, and the accolades have been amazing. I've been so touched by everything people have said.
I know that you've been coming for years to the TAOM, and we've seen you here. We always chat and have a martini or two, but I do not remember when you actually performed at a TAOM. This is your first TAOM, isn't it?
This is my first
when you say
TAOM.
4 conventions, first TAOM.
Four conventions. 2 of them were in New Jersey. One was the one in Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
Yeah, that would have been the Winter Carnival.
Was that Winter Carnival?
I think Winter Carnival. Yeah.
Okay, and then this one.
And then MEAS. That was the one out in New Jersey. Do you remember?
No, it was the Garden State Magic Cow.
Oh wow, that was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. I'm talking in the 70s.
Okay, yeah. Because they don't think hold that anymore over
They
there.
don't even have it anymore.
But
I don't think.
I'm glad that people had an opportunity to see, because I have known and respected you for many reasons for such a long time, and you've been working cruises for how many years? 40 years?
Oh my gosh, 30-something years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. And of course, a lot of times magicians go to sea, and the magicians on land, you don't know them. I mean, they're big like you are out there, but people don't know them until they come back on the land and then work some shows, as you have. I've been working at Scott Pepper's place up in San Antonio and having your own show around here and everything then too. So unless they come out, magicians don't typically get to see it.
Well, one thing I learned is I don't always stay on the ships. I always try to balance my land and ship stuff, because you never know what's going to happen.
Because you do something in Florida. I know I happen to run into you.
Yeah, we tour in Florida. We do colleges and communities and
for like a month out of the year.
Usually 1 or 2 months out of the year. This year it'll be a month. Yeah, and we have a ball doing that.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. So I'm glad that you had fun, and I'm sure that you got a lot of accolades from people saying, "Holy cow, you were really amazing." And I did hear of that very thing.
You know something? I'm amazed, because I rarely perform for magicians, and it's an awkward position to be a magician and go on stage in front of so many of your peers, and then you don't know how they're going to react to it. And everybody has been so amazing and so complimentary, and it really meant a lot.
It's kind of like at the Magic Castle. Whenever that you go to work, people think, "Well, I got to have something special." No, you just do you, because they're hiring you, and you do personality, do your jokes and everything, and the same thing at a convention. I don't think it's necessary to put together a convention act. You just do your act, because that's what they're hiring you for.
Well, that's what you spent years developing.
Exactly right.
Yeah, you spent so much time developing things. What scares me is people who say, "Oh, I'm going to put an act together for this one specific night,"
and
they come out and try to do it, and it's not a full act. It just doesn't come across as professional or slick. They haven't learned the ins and outs of the not the tricks themselves, but the ins and outs of the routines to flow from one to the other to make it really entertaining.
Well, I was sitting next to Scott Hollingsworth, and as some people know, he was the entertainment director at Magic Island for so many years. And as we were chatting, and he kept saying, well, you can tell that Harry's a pro because of how he hits his mark every time, and he has the right pauses and inflection, and he waits, for the laughter and accepts things. He said, he's got it.
No, you can tell by the shoes. You always tell by the shoes.
Yeah. Scotto has meant so much to so many of us in really putting us on our path.
Oh, he's amazing, and something, I love seeing Scotto. We were going to open the show by saying he comes from all over this wide world, which is the standard introduction for everybody who came to Magic Island. Yeah,
a large roll of $100 bills wrapped up in a rubber band. Anybody lose that?
Yep.
Sir, I found your rubber band.
I found your rubber band.
That's been funny. Well, listen, thank you very much, Harry. It's always good seeing you, particularly perform as well. So I'm glad you had a good time.
I've got to tell you, we're going to miss you in Houston, but I am going to come visit you in Austin.
I hope you do. Please do.
I will. I promise.
And when I come down, I'll have a place to stay?
You got it.
Okay, there we go. So the Magic Word Podcast. That was my good buddy, Harry Maurer, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, who are listening out there, let me give you a sneak preview. This coming Thursday on the 7th, we're going to be releasing an episode I did with Harry Maurer a few months ago, and talking about the War Magician. We're talking about working cruise ships and comedy clubs and so many things, and so you're going to enjoy that. So if you don't know much about Harry, come back on Thursday and learn more.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. It was really nice. Thank you.
So the Magic Word Podcast, again, that was Harry Maurer. This is Scotty out. One more person that I really wanted to chat with. We had just a wonderful competition, both in stage and in close-up. And the fella who had won the comedy competition is here with me then right now from San Antonio, Gregg Youngs. Hey, Gregg.
Hello, Scott.
Glad that you're here, and glad that you had entered. Your delivery for comedy is perfect, your timing and everything. Do you find that to be natural, or do you have to work on that?
I hate to say it out loud, but yeah, that's just what I do.
That's just you.
That's me.
It just comes that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny. Last year, I remember you asked if I did improv, and I was thinking about it later. I said no, because I don't. And I was thinking about it later, and kind of my whole life is improv.
Yeah.
It's just comedy is something I enjoy.
Well, when you came up with this particular routine, because I remember you won last year too.
Correct.
Yeah. And was it for comedy or was it stage?
Same thing, comedy.
Same thing as well. It's always good if you're the only person who's competing, for one thing. It makes it a little bit easier.
That doesn't hurt.
But, of course, for people who are listening, although he was the only person who was entered into comedy, you have to have so many points, just like within FISM, in order to win, place, or show, basically, and they don't always give that away. Maybe they may not even give it away if there are more than 3 or 4 competitors if you don't score well enough. In this case, I thought you knocked it out of the park. I mean, I was hoping you would have like best of convention.
I was very, very happy. Actually, there's actually one effect I didn't get to do. There was a finale that it didn't work out that I would have loved to have been done. But
what was that? Can you tell us?
Well, kind of. No, I can't.
Okay.
But anytime there's a button and a battery involved, it can go wrong. And I tested it right before, and it didn't work. But that was my original finale, so it was fine. It just an extra 45 seconds I would have loved to have done. But
what about the planning for this particular act?
The hard part, since there's hardly difficult slights, and it was just the script, getting the scripting right, and it's tough to compress it to 10 minutes. You know, like last year, I wrote a half hour and then cut, and this is half of the show that I thought I was going to do as far as the number of things. You don't want to be rushing through things just to get an extra thing in.
Right.
And so that was, I was happy with it.
Did you workshop this like for the local club, or did you go to comedy clubs, or just show your wife, or what?
Nope. The first humans to see all of that was this morning. You know, well, a lot of it was magician centric, so it wouldn't play. Some of it wouldn't play as well to a lay audience, and some of it's kind of hard to practice. I mean, I could have done some of that's hard to do at a ring meeting or something too.
Yeah.
So I just rehearsed 1,000 times in my head mostly.
So you didn't really get any feedback from anybody because you hadn't performed it anywhere?
Nope.
When you rehearse, do you rehearse one trick at a time, or do you kind of do the whole thing in a little at a time?
Because of the nature of this, it was the script that kept the timing going.
Okay.
So I ran through that script a jillion times in my head, and not always going fully through the tricks.
Sure.
But I went through each of the tricks individually to kind of get a sense of it, and then beyond that, it was mostly running through that script over and over. Because if that script worked well, everything else will take care of itself.
Right. Yeah, and the script, after you know what your timing is in delivery because you've only got 10 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. And the big variable is, of course, spectators. So I prearranged the 2 guys that were going to come up, so they knew they were going to come up and kind of prep them on the basics of what they were going to do, because had my finale I wanted to do, had I been able to, it was going to be very tight on time.
Right.
So selecting the spectators was important, particularly in this audience. You don't know how long it's going to take someone to get up. And,
right.
And people get confused on the simplest of instructions, like up and down, and so
particularly when they get up on stage, then as well, that they're a little bit nervous too. You know?
Absolutely. And both of the volunteers were fathers of juniors that were competing. So that was kind of intentional too, because I knew that those juniors would love to see their dads getting up there who were non-magicians. And
I just thought that was coincidental.
No, it was, and it was coincidence that one was a policeman. That was handy. That one happened to be a policeman doing the handcuffs. So that was great.
Worked out great.
Yeah.
Well, Greg, again, congratulations. Appreciate you showing us. This was great.
Thank you, Scott.
Welcome. So, for the Magic Word Podcast, that was Greg Youngs. Scotty out. Before we wrap up for this evening, I wanted to talk with the contest chairman and contest and awards chairman, because I know you are interested in who had won the contest. We just talked with Greg Youngs, who is the winner of the Comedy Award. But, Bob, we had pretty good competition this year. You did a great job, by the way, too.
Oh, thank you very much. We had great contestants. We actually had a lot more contestants that were going to be there, but a couple of them had some family issues
at the last minute.
At the last minute, they couldn't make it, and we wished them well. And who knows, they might have won as well.
Yeah, you never know, do you?
No, we don't. But we had some great people, regardless, and we had enough people that actually won trophies in all the categories.
And they got cash awards.
Oh, yeah. The kids really raked it in.
Yeah. You want to tell them about that?
Yeah. Well, we have funds from various sources over the years that we derive interest from. And sometimes on the juniors, it's some of the money's based upon the scoring that they actually got. So it's not always the same amount. And then from another source, it's always the same amount, and you add it together, it comes out to quite a bit.
Right. And this year was?
The juniors each got $650.
Yeah, and the other winners got $200.
The seniors, the seniors each got $200.
Plus the most amazing trophy. I think the best trophy in all of Magic.
Oh, totally. Yeah, nothing else compares to it. I mean, it's like the Oscars of Magic.
It really is.
Yeah, and also the awards for the seniors could vary. Let's say if we only had one winner in senior and one winner in junior.
Yeah.
Well, each of them would have got an extra $500.
Yeah. Wow. Well, let's go through the winners. So, what do you want to go through here first?
Yeah. Our stage winner was Bill Winters. He actually won a comedy No, it wasn't comedy last year, was it? No, 2 years ago, he won comedy.
I remember that. It was a funny act.
Yeah,
yes.
And this time he entered stage and won that. The close-up winner for seniors was Michael Dimsdale, a Fort Worth guy. Our comedy
North
winner,
Richland Hills,
yeah, comedy winner Greg Youngs, which killed it again. Last year he just blew us away, and I kept thinking, man, if he ever enters again, how is he going to do it again? And sure enough, the very next year, he's here, and he just blew us away again. It was phenomenal.
Very funny.
Yeah. Junior stage winner was Anthony Wilkins. He's actually won another trophy from us in the past.
That was the Amazing Anthony. I think he's from Houston.
Yes, he is. He's from Houston. I remember the first time he entered contest was in San Antonio. And first time he'd ever been to a convention, and we were like, where's this kid been? And he'd barely been in Magic.
Right.
The kid's a natural.
Yeah.
Junior close-up winner is Wyatt Monclaw.
And Wyatt's another Houstonian, and he has been mentored by Scott Hollingsworth. Did you know that?
Seriously, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a good mentor.
So, and that proof of the pudding, that if you get somebody behind you that helps you to grow in the right way, then, the sky's the limit.
Oh, yeah. All three of our close-up contestants as a junior were terrific.
They really were.
They all had a good concept behind what they were doing. It was focused, had it built, all their routines built.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like, hey, here's a trick. Oh, here's another trick.
Yeah. It was a routine act.
Yeah, totally routine. It was great.
Well, see, it's getting here. It's getting quiet. I think that's because it's about time for Steve Valentine's lecture.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to go catch that. Bob, thank you very much, and again, congratulations. Great job again this year.
Thank you.
So the Magic Word Podcast. That was Bob Emory. Scotty out.